all, welcome to another video of Corpnce. I'm Bruno Savio and in this video we'll be discussing on functions in Python. So let's dive in. Also these functions, whenever you're creating them, whatever variables you create inside a function is known as local variables. They are only accessed inside the function. So whenever you try to access those variables that declared inside the function outside, it won't work. So I'll show you an example. So you can see in my screen, I'm saying x equals 10. This is a global variable which can be accessed by your function too. So I can say def sample and I can say x. Okay, I can say print x and this will work pretty fine, or return x is also fine, return x, and this will literally access the global variable that is now our x. So if I print sample of x, I'll get sorry, I shouldn't pass a parameter here, I mean argument. So yeah, 10 10, it's printing and it's returning. So now you're returning x, that's a global one. But let's say I'm trying to create one more variable here. Let's say a equals 45 and this one I'm trying to return it here. Okay, I can return this along with what you say x and a. So x is nothing but the global variable 10 that I'm returning and a is nothing but the local variable 45. So I'll just name it local and this is global. Now notice that this a is inside this function. I told you local variables cannot be accessed outside the function. So this print statement is printing the sample function, the call of the function. Let's try to access the variable directly. Now I'll say print a. You can see I'll get an error. Okay, wait. It's because, cut that part and add this. Okay. So yeah, you can see I got an error here. The error says name a is not defined. The reason is a hasn't been defined outside, it is inside the function. It exists only inside that function. So that's the reason why we are getting a name error. So now that you saw that whenever you create a function, inside the function only local variables are created. But let's say your function, inside the function itself you want to create a global variable where the variable can be accessed outside the function too. Then you have this keyword known as global, which we'll use it now in this example. So here I'll create a function and I'll say def sample and I'm going to say global. So I'm going to create a global variable inside this function. So I'm saying global x. I'm declaring this as a global variable. This is how we declare it. Then I'm going to say x equals 45. Now return x is fine. Now if I say print x, this shouldn't give me an error. It says x is not defined. The reason is I have to call this function. So sample, I'm going to call this. So once it's called, I believe it will work. So make sure you call the function before you want to initiate the global variable. Then you will say print x. See, the first 45 is from the return x. I'll just name it as done. Okay. Yeah, the first sample print is nothing but the function call. You call the function got initiated. Then if you call x, it's working pretty fine. And if at all, make sure if at all you declare x again here somewhere, it's gonna change that global variable. It's gonna be 56. No, it's not gonna be 56. The reason is this global variable has been declared inside the function itself. So it's not gonna change. If at all when I restart it, don't make this mistake, because many of them think that if at all you overwrite it, it's gonna get overwritten. But as it's a global variable inside the function, whatever changes you make, it should be made inside the function itself. So see here, I run again, it's still 45, it didn't change to 56. So what if I do the same thing inside this function, x equals 45, then I'm saying x equals 56. Now it works. So whatever changes you want to make with x, it's only gonna work when that global variable that you declared inside that function, there it should be changed. So now when declaring a function, you have positional arguments and keyword arguments. Let's see what that is. So here I'm gonna declare a function. I'm gonna say sample def sample, and I'm gonna pass two parameters, a comma b, and I'm gonna return a comma b. Okay, a basic function, and I'm gonna say sample of 5 comma 6. This one is known as positional arguments. The place where I'm calling this function sample 5 comma 6, this is where I'm calling the function with its name sample. 5 comma 6 is the positional arguments that I'm passing in. And notice that when I'm declaring a function here, a comma b, this a and b are known as parameters. But when I'm calling the function, 5 comma 6 is known as arguments, those values. And this sample takes two arguments, I can say, a and b. So now, this is known as positional arguments. What is keyword arguments then? So keyword arguments is saying a equals 5 and b equals 6. What's the use of that? So you can say b equals 5 and a equals 6. You can interchange it, but as you have keyword arguments, it will match accordingly to the keywords that you have assigned. So if I try to print sample, I just can print here itself. It's nothing but going to give me the result of a and b. A will be 6 and b will be 5. Yeah, exactly. So this is how positional arguments and keyword arguments come into play. Now let's say you have multiple arguments to be passed and you don't know how many arguments to be passed to the particular function. We'll see what we'll do with that. Now let's say you have multiple positional arguments and you don't know how many arguments are gonna take place in that particular function. So there you can use args. So this is nothing but multiple positional arguments. I'll show you how to declare it. So in my VS Code, you can see I'm going to declare a function, same function, sample, and I'm going to say star args, okay. So this is nothing but my multiple position argument. That star will take multiple arguments together. So I'm saying return args, it's fine. So what I'll do, when I'm calling sample, I'm gonna pass in multiple arguments as much as I want, okay, and I'm gonna run it. It runs perfectly fine. The reason is this args, this parameter that I passed in with a star, will take multiple positional arguments, okay, and this one, if at all you want to extract it, you can extract it accordingly too. So you can say for I in range, you can use a for loop inside a function and it will work. Like each you can iterate it, and yeah, that's how this works. And make sure you don't make this mistake where you give this and you say one more b. It should not be in this particular format. The reason is, if I run this, I'm gonna get an error. It says sample missing one required keyword only argument b, because this star args will take all those values that you're passing in and b will be left empty. So what you do is make sure whenever you have multiple positional arguments, then you have b, like the single parameter should be at the first. Then we have this this one, what do you say, star args. Now it works pretty fine. The first argument that you passed in went to b, then from 2 it went all the way to star args. So this is the syntax to be followed. Don't make this blunder. And now let's say you have multiple keyword arguments. What do you do in that case? So same way how you have here, this is positional multiple positional arguments. For keyword arguments, you will have double star. The only difference is you have double star. And yeah, I'll just remove this for the time being. And I'm gonna say name equals Ram, and then I'm saying age equals 54. I'm gonna say hobby equals coding. See, I'm giving keyword arguments here, multiple keyword arguments. So when you're using double star args or quarks, so the quark we say, so KW we add, that is nothing but your keyword, short form, keyword arguments. Okay, multiple keyword arguments. So here you have multiple arguments here, name, age, hobby, it can keep going. You don't know that when you're gonna stop. So that is when you use this quarks. And when I run this, it stores it in the form of dictionary. You can see name, it's from, age 54, hobby, coding. So this is used to store it in a form of dictionary. So yeah, these were the main two things that you should be aware of while using functions, especially when you're not sure how many positional arguments or keyword arguments that you're going to pass in to your function. Then we have something called as lambda function, which is known as anonymous function. So here, how do you declare a lambda function and why it's called as anonymous function? So let's see. I'm going to say lambda x lambda, so the spelling should be right, x star x. I'm saying I want to square a number. I don't want to write a function and a return statement. It's like I'm using multiple lines. I don't want that. With lambda function, I can write small functions that I can reuse again and again. So what I'll do, I'm going to say x equals, let's say, I'll pass this into b, okay? B equals lambda of x. So I can say b of 5. So print b of 5 that's it. That's exactly how you use lambda arguments, like anonymous functions, because you don't want to name it. The reason why it's called as anonymous function is because you're not naming anything. You just created a one-line function using the lambda keyword and you just assign it to a variable. You see, unlike the functions here at the top where I've named it sample, here also I've named it sample, or whatever name you want to give, I didn't define a name to this lambda function. It just took the variable, the keyword lambda, took a variable, temporary variable x, like how you have I in for loop, like you say for I in range, and I is a temporary variable to iterate through those values. Same way in lambda you have x in order to do the calculations, like small calculations. So here I'm saying x is nothing but square it, x star x, and assign it to variable b, and I'm printing b of 5. So b is my function here, which is a variable actually, and I'm passing in 5 as the argument. And this is exactly how you use lambda functions. Now here we'll see a little bit advanced topic, which is known as decorator in functions, where you can make your function a decorator. What do I mean by decorator? Let's say you're creating a coffee, okay, and there is you want to check the time of that particular coffee. This is just an example, okay, like you want to know the starting time and ending time of the coffee drink that you're making. So here you can use a decorator function where your coffee is in the middle, start time is there, end time is there. So while the coffee is being made, your decorator will calculate the start time and end time. How does that sound? It looks very helpful, right? So decorators can be used in very useful ways in many other cases, but this example suits the best for easy understanding. So let's try to use decorator, and I'll show you how to create a decorator. So let's start, and you can see my code, screen. I'm gonna say, first I'm gonna import time. I told you I want to calculate how much time it takes for creating a coffee. So yeah, I'm gonna say def my decorator, okay, decorator. This is a random name that I'm giving. It's nothing like you have to name it in this way. And I'm saying function, okay, I'm passing here. So here, this parameter that I passed in, it is going to take the function itself as an argument, okay. So now here I'll have a nested function, and this is going to be a wrapper. So you can imagine it like a wrapper itself actually. So you have your function. We haven't created our coffee function, okay, coffee function will be separate. Your coffee function will be wrapped with this function that I'm creating now. So I'm saying wrapper, and inside this wrapper you don't have to pass in anything because there's nothing to be passed in. So what I'm going to say is start time, start. So initially I want to know the start time, so I'm saying time dot time, okay, Then I'll say print initiating. Okay, I'm saying COFFE cof initiating. Okay, and I'm gonna say, okay, while we are initiating the coffee, we'll literally call the function, our coffee function, which will pass here. Okay, and after that I'm gonna say sleep. Okay, time dot sleep, sorry, time dot sleep. I'm purposely adding 3 seconds just so we can see how it works. So I'm saying it takes 3 seconds to make a coffee, so time dot sleep 3 seconds. And after I call the function, I'm gonna say print COFFE coffee made, or I think the time dot sleep can be in my function itself, no issues. Okay, and then I can return I can return the time taken. I can say time taken can be, let's say, end minus start. Okay, I gave start, and okay, end time I didn't give it, right? So I'm gonna say end here. Okay, end equals time dot time. Yeah. So now this wrapper function is going to wrap my function here. So you can see my function is actually here, which I haven't declared it. That function is gonna be passed as an argument for my decorator. Okay, and then after returning, we'll return WRAPPER wrapper. Okay, this return statement is for this one, and this return statement is for this one. Okay, now I want to use this wrapper that I've created for my coffee, what I'm going to create. So I'm saying def COFFE coffee. I'm creating a class, which a function that will prepare coffee. So I'm saying the coffee function, function that I'm creating, it's gonna take 3 seconds to make coffee. So I'm gonna say time dot sleep, and I'm gonna say 3 seconds. Okay, and then I'm saying return return done. Okay, then now the only thing that is left for us is to run. But notice that how do I wrap my coffee with this decorator function. So the syntax is, make sure once your decorator is created, like you create the syntax, you use it. So at call this my decorator. So literally use this name. So this, why it is in a nested format, because this initial first one, outer function what you have here with the name my decorator, that will be used to initiate the decorator for the coffee, and whatever is inside that, the inside function, which is nothing but the wrapper, that will actually do the task. So the outer function is just for the name, you wanna call it, you have to use it. So here now it's gonna work. You just have to call coffee now, you don't have to call the decorator. You say coffee, or I'm gonna say print COFFE coffee. Okay, this is what it is. Now if I run it, initiating coffee, coffee made, time taken 3.0006 whatever seconds. So this is exactly how your decorator function is working. So you can see coffee made. If you want something here, let's keep the coffee made inside this one. Okay, now you see I done the same thing, initiating coffee. You can see coffee made is inside this. See, coffee made came in the center. That means your decorator has wrapped your function, and whatever you wanted, initially it started, it kept the function as the argument what you want, it ran the function, then again it went to the time taken and it stopped, it returned done, or it didn't return done because it's fine, it literally took the time taken and it stopped there. So yeah, this is how your decorator works, like the custom decorators that you create. So that's all for this video. I hope you found this helpful. If it did, do subscribe and stay tuned for the next ones. Thank you.